Well, thank you for your patience. I knew it was a little bit of a long time. I'm sorry you had to listen to Steve for so long. But we are almost ready to get into game, and that is what gets me going. What an incredible prospect this is here. So many regions about to clash, and who on earth is coming out on the top?
I mean, there's so much on the line, right? We've got all these regions going head-to-head. We don't know what kind of chaos is about to kick off. 300 grand, and then an extra slot at the PGC. There's a hell of a lot on the line, and I think even when we talk about the monetary value, there's pride there, national pride, lifting the trophy.
Yes.
But then it's a region race. You're playing for that extra seat at the end of the road.
That's the thing, isn't it? That's the kind of unspoken rule that everyone's kind of keeping their mind on. This isn't just about this event. It does create avenues for your entire region going forward. So that'll be in the back of their minds. Right now, it's that first game, the first step on Miramar to be made, and such an impression awaits these teams. So much yet to be seen. They've had practice games, so it's not the first time they're meeting. They have been practicing backstage, getting used to each other, but we know what happens. Sometimes people switch things up, they change it, they kind of bait people in, and I wouldn't be surprised if someone's maybe fallen for that.
I mean, we have to look back at previous events where we saw 17, Liquid, C9, 3 teams going head-to-head. All across Pachinki. It was messy, it was a bit of a bloodbath. None of the teams really came out on top, to be honest. It damaged them in the long run. Anything could happen. I mean, even on this one, looking into it, 3 teams potentially drop Rosock of all weird and wonderful places.
Yeah, let's kind of bring that to Miramar then. We know Picado's going to be certainly busy, or theoretically busy.
Yeah, this is the thing.
It's all theory. We come in, we look at your specific regions, your PEL, your MPL, your OSHA. Wherever it is, you can all go, all right, that's their drop. But who backs away, who changes, who switches it up, who dares to back down at the first game? Is that a pride thing, or is it the smart thing to do? We're going to find out with that first game. I think it will send a very telling sign. Long term, it can do damage, but short term, it might actually bring you out on top. It looks like the plane is in the air, and these players are going to be dropping. Kicking things off, 16 teams on Miramar. It's going to be an exciting one again. We don't know exactly the full details of where players will be landing, and this is the telltale sign. Who starts off? Who challenges? Where do we go? What do we see? I think we're about to find out. We certainly will have to. Eyes towards Picado. I just see Liquid for now. This looks like we've had teams moving away, looking towards differences, looking for switch-ups. This could be an interesting one. And let's kind of catch up on where everything is currently as the teams settle into the drop. Potentially, if we're looking right, Circle has already punched its way in. We're all the way down south, and I believe teams already got the foothold on the floor. Here we go. We're actually in. Okay. There we are. You're seeing what we're seeing now. We are 2 minutes in here. I do apologize for the slight delay there. So 2 minutes in. Circle's already popped. She's all the way down to the south. Navi, what a gift for them. And they're a team I think we didn't get to talk, well, the desk didn't talk too much about, and what they can do. And I think this could be a big impression to be made for them, a big statement piece. But Cloud9 have shifted across. Picado is certainly Liquid. Run us through this. Where are we looking at? Where are the teams? And who's got that really prime spot? And who is going to be under the kibosh? Who's going to be struggling to find that way in? The #1 spot there, 100%, is the Rumblers. They are plumb center. They'll be laughing. You look further afield down to the south. There's a fair amount of water in there, so you won't expect teams to be going further afield. That circle, in my opinion, won't be shifting down to Higos. We'll be staying up towards the northern end. Liquid, not too much of a road to have to travel into the circle. Again, they're already in it. But to go deeper, they only have to have a hop, skip, and a jump across the main road. Incognito, potentially. They're a danger to me. I still think they've got a little bit of fire. Because they're lingering out in the distance. This is where you find teams, unfortunately, might fall on transition. You have to be aware of these individual players that would like to try and take a trash loot area, go for the smaller compounds and be very sparse across a large open area. You can shoot one player, but it accidentally bottlenecks them or floods them into another. Absolutely. Now, talking about circles, we kind of know where they go. They generally avoid water. They'll move away from those islands. It should shrink right towards where the Rumblers currently sit, which is Chumacera. So then you look at the options. Now, we know Team Liquid, they love a quick rotation. They'll be getting to the ideal spots as soon as they can, but you will have to kind of account for a bit more scouting because there's new teams, new enemies, new areas to be worried about. It's not your same old PEL anymore. And I think there's a little bit of contact with Incognito. It might be warning shots, might be pot shots. It doesn't matter what it is. Liquid received a little bit of a notice saying, all right, that's not for us now. But that northeast side, if you're looking from G2 all the way down to maybe Ghost, I guess you could say, that's a very rife area for rotations. Yes, that eastern route is available just past Tempo Storm, but
there's going to be teams on this outskirt, and we know a lot of edge teams play in this lobby that will like to stick around the edge of this one, play it slowly. G2, you're paramount of that. You're paramore over in Europe of doing it. NA certainly has their sort of, I guess, champions of that style too.
Liquid, in and out, usual suspects, usual play. They take Picado, they move center of the circle. Teams going to be knocking on the door, though. We can see Red Canids are already extending towards the circle. They've got one player there who's going to be the lead scout, giving the information to the rest that will follow. Incognito, nice early player from them.
And they're not looking afraid either, Incognito.
No, I think if you have to make a stance on this one, right? I respect what was said in the videos from some of the players on the Oceanic region. They understand that teams like to play aggressive. They understand and respect the powerhouses that are here on the main stage. They need to step it up. It's as simple as that. They have to play to that level, and I think you need to go into this whole event with no fear. You don't just have to play your own game. You have to play it that little bit more, be a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more hyper-aware of what's going on. Just don't be scared. Just play your normal thing, crack on with it, act as if it's a public, but just put a bit more pressure on.
Yeah, you can see Microfry and Jeeves pretty close together here, maybe looking towards a similar compound, maybe just seeing what's available. The Rumblers have been able to take their time in Chumacera, and I hope they haven't waited too long, because Navi are southern side of them, Team Liquid to the east, and you've got FaZe to your west. That's a very scary EU sandwich about to be built around the Rumblers. Now, there's still room available. It is Miramar. There's plenty of terrain to be had. There's plenty of smaller compounds to work from. But this is your prime territory. That band across the middle, just south of Chumacera, is where all the teams who have the shot at it will want to be looking towards. FaZe are engaging. I think that is towards the Rumblers. But it will be from afar. This, it will be a big shot if it comes through at this point.
Rumblers were in a good position. But now with all the teams that are encroaching on there, they need to be aware that that position becomes open from the front side. Chumacera is a rather large open area. You have two different areas, which will be the upper and the lower. It does dip down more towards the town side. If a team like Singularity, like Liquid, want to try and make an advancement on that, that's where they're going to hit them from. Yes, they'll be at a disadvantage in the fact that they'll be fighting an uphill battle, but should the circle be favourite to them, it's the Rumblers that have to do the work to get out of that. They got Navi on their south, they got FaZe on their west, they got Liquid on their east. So
it's a really tough spot.
Hey, look, it looked good to begin with, but everyone else is now just surrounding them. If this circle doesn't go their way, they're the ones that have to essentially run the gauntlet and get through teams that will be standing up against them.
Yeah, and the outskirt teams are be working their way forward. This is still towards Picado. This is a little bit of a ghost, Cloud9, light scuffle, nothing fully committed, working their way forward. And we just have to wait and see how it goes for them. I've got a light tempo Storm's approach here. They've got the complete southeastern road in. They can take their time. They've got no initial challenges. If they want to gatekeep, you're not going to get that. The northeast, though, this could be first blood territory, potentially. You've got the Knights up there. I think, yeah, there's about 3 teams coming through this route by Monte Nuevo, so that could be a little bit dicey for some of these guys. So they do need to be a little bit careful. You don't want to start losing players on rotation. And that's going to be something in the forefront of their minds here. G2, don't worry about them. They love taking their time. They'll get there eventually. Chris is still over by Astaheart at the moment.
The Knights moving out of Power Grid, home turf for them. On circles like this, we do tend to see them hanging around the southern edge, the northern edge. They like to play the late game. They like to play the slower game. It's hard to say play edge game because they do come down a little bit. They're very aware of the teams that will be rotating around them. Atletico and C9, you have to be aware again because of the Picado movement. They were up by, I think, I cop for it, San Martin, Hacienda.
Around that band.
So moving straight up into north, there are the teams that are being kicked in your vicinity, in your way, because of Liquid forcing that. It's good for them. It at least allows them to move through, but you now have to be aware that there are teams going to be filling them. From the PL, they shouldn't be too scared because they do have teams that like to go there normally.
Now keep in mind, we are bordering into 8 minutes and 0 players being knocked, no car mistakes, no falling over, nothing. People are being very, very aware of this, keeping themselves very, very safe. We do have Navi and FaZe having a little bit of back and forth, but look at Navi's compound, very strong, literal kings of the hill. FaZe down in the dirt, in the peasant, it's one of towns. Having to get the heals off Mexi there, receiving a little bit of damage. He's happy to get back into it, though. Hopefully he's not been too badly damaged. 8 6 times on that mini can do some real work, so I can't wait to see how he goes into this. But the circle hitting is going to be nice to look at. I think a lot of the teams are gambling in the correct way that it should go north, but hey, look, if player unknown's in chat, you never know where it's going to go. I'm kidding, but it could switch things up.
G2 have to be aware on their approach.
Look at this 2-2 from Liquid.
Are they splitting it? Yeah, well, I mean, they're just taking a huge... It's even a 2-1-1, isn't it?
It's a 2-1-1. That's really risky.
It is. You're planting a seed and hoping that the circle is favourable to you. I'm just going to nip back to G2 a second because they're going to come in on the very, very long shift all the way down on that western side. They just have to be very, very careful for tempo storm that aren't going to be lingering. We've seen it several times where if you, okay, you like to play blue, you like to play late game. But now look at this circle. It's rather dense and all the teams are basically center. As soon as you push in somewhere on the edge, you're going to get spotted by a certain team. So you have to pick your battles and pick your location very wisely. Maybe enter this in a 1-1 scenario. I can see UD is on Los Leones on his own. So if he comes out of that city, he'll say, okay, this is clear. We can all move up now. And actually, I am seeing G2 reposition themselves. So that's going to be a good play from them. Molodoi finds 8C on the transition. They can't get themselves back together. They'll just traverse up this western embankment. They can play border patrol, and maybe
the lay of the land.
If they have some kind of info, or they got a spot. I don't think they did because of the ridge line that locks them in. They're basically down the foot of the hill. If they know where SSG is, then it's great for them because they can hold them back and wait them. If they don't, this could be a very scary prospect that if all 4 members of SSG rock up onto one compound, they're going to be in a 2-2 split and they're going to be destroyed on arrival.
Yeah, and currently let's talk about who holds the keys to the castle, who is the best position out of all the teams. I can't get over Liquid, pulling off that 2-1-1 split. So 2 of the players, I think it was Ibby and Jeems, way out on their own. And the compound you can see just south, west and east of their current spot. They did move slightly back in together to a more traditional 2-2, but they hold such big territory in that middle. Now, I wonder if these teams will be crashing these sort of situations. In EU, we saw it becoming way more prevalent, where teams would be happy to crash a compound. Now, if they only see 1-2 players, they scout correctly, they're in there. They do not mess around these days. But teams are nervous here. Let's not forget that. This is the first stage. We're up to 10 minutes, 0 knocks. This is quite a statement. East side is starting to look a little busy, as is the west. The teams will start to kind of pull themselves ever closer. G2 getting very close toward the Aussie side. I think Ghoster up there, Incognito. You've got a lot of teams around that area. That runoff from Los Leones that kind of trickles downhill. And I think Liquid just caught a glimpse of Navi as well. But look at that west. Chumacera could potentially house 3-4 teams here.
I know we have Ghost on screen, but I want to touch on Baja's position. He's on the western side, just where FaZe Clan have made an entry point. It's that lower side of Chumacera. If Baja has the information, he'll be able to feed that back to SSG, that they don't want to just run head-on into that vicinity. They should know, playing in the same region, the MPL, as the Rumblers, where the Rumblers like to be, they like to go, they like to linger. They definitely should have that info if they know FaZe is downstairs.
Look at FaZe, look at Rumblers. Wait, this could be first blood. Vexy is right there, the pull-up comes out. Lost HD, the Finn falls. Punished as North America receives a bit of a reminder that EU are certainly in your town. And let's remember, on Erangel, that would be maybe a fight that could potentially happen if they did go to Mini Milta for the Rumblers. Maybe they're thinking, not now. Maybe not after this little wake-up call.
We spoke about it. Diving in down on the lower side of Chumacera is dangerous. Honestly, I think that's post-scouting. If they knew FaZe were here and they were approaching the 2-2 scenario to take the fight, it's questionable to rock up like that because you know they're going to be waiting with open arms. It is countryman on countryman who get the kill. Actually does send down Lost HD, some people will say the carry of this roster. I mean, it's a damn good roster with the Rumblers, but Loss's performance through MPL has just been absolutely sterling.
Yeah, next bit of contact, G2 actually being put on notice as well. That's surprising for G2, a little bit sloppy, if I'm honest. Kane going get called out there pretty much. I think he was scouting. He was off with Chris on his own somewhat, and actually, on the other side of things, they held their ground. That was one of the players isolated as well, so they were maybe a little bit surprised there was a man there. Team Liquid on the move now, going right towards Navi. This scares me. They're going to be very close between Navi, and if they breach that top, it's going to be the Rumblers. Good spray from Meduzi. A dangerous man, but can he land the shot? Yes, it's Poker Molodoi. If he goes down, that's a huge shot.
Maybe he's instantly confirmed. Steve spoke about it on the desk, how you need to make sure that you confirm every single point, make it count. If you get the knock, get the flush, get the finish. And they do. Jeems is in Navi territory, needs to be extremely careful here. They will be closing and encompassing on his position. Grenades are out, can see the nade got himself. But with so many members here of Navi, this is going to be dangerous. You have Death knocking at the door, and he is down to about 30% HP.
It's still Jeems, though. There's very few players that I'd credit with the ability to do something dangerous, but he is certainly one of them. Ready, locked in, comp on. The sky looks deadly, but he's poking all the way down below him. These guys, Navi are nasty. We know they're aggressive with nades. This could bank off somewhere and maybe keep Molodoi guessing. Smoke's still up though, so gonna be hard to work out a doozy on the breach. Jeems is down there. Jeems gets caught in the backside, spins around. He gets downed by Pokemon and Senya, combining Liquid. Just going to be completely mopped up to start with, down to 2 players here.
It's intriguing because they're a pretty solid compound to send 2 off like that, a bit too far into the circle. You could see the ideology, put the grenade down and try and move with the sound of the noise, be a nuisance. It doesn't work. Liquid, they do lose 2 back-to-back. We hop on board with the Knight C9. Nerf has gone down, smokes are up. This should be a nice easy res. I like the fact the Knights are not playing passive here. They're not diving into the tier 2 building and looking outside the windows and letting C9 approach this.
The nade as well, Drayden.
Uh-oh, that's a big...
that was a throw.
So long as...
That was a... Look at these nades. Huge play from Snark. The first shot was excellent as well. Ghoster on the move. Cloud9 have had to back away from this. Profi is off on an island, maybe trying to hold it, making sure they don't push on this one. But there's danger afoot everywhere. Yes, Cloud9 are trying to work towards a circle, but there's teams in the background as well. Singularity might be watching over this. There we go, Snark again. This guy's on point today, proving that they certainly deserve that spot, that fairy tale story at the end of the PEL season to allow them to this position. But Profi's got an ang. And there comes the third party. Singularity have rocked up. They push towards this. And now this could be deadly. The Knights need to be ready because their castle is about to be breached. Profi has the angle. He does not want to leave this spot. He's going to take the opportunity now to try and run away. He gets the tag. He wants to move back to his team, but that blue, it's going to push him further up.
And throughout this, Singularity not only do take a knock, but they get all the info. I can see down on the opposing side. Ghost are making a bit of a bail on this one. They've turned up G2C.
Oh, Chris!
What?
He's such a nasty player. Do not underestimate this man, G2.
He just killed them all.
Trials and tribulations of this side are plenty when it comes to offline events, but you do not dance with Chris. This guy is an animal when it comes to it.
He's the only
and
one,
Shrimsy, poor old Shrimsy. Does Chris know it? Does he sense it? The nade's not bad. Bounces a little too far, but Shrimsy's on the run.
Puts him out in the open. And the Udyr from the field. Job done. Ghost Gaming. GG indeed, 16th position. They're the first team to fall here in game number 1 of the event. While all this has been going down, the circle's actually been favourable to Liquid. They may have lost too early on, but now Samty and Gempty, the Finns, the twins, the brothers in arms, they'll hold the compound central. FaZe Clan still going tip-to-toe with the Rumblers. Again, they got their initial first blood, so they have the advantage, but the Rumblers will hold the line for now. Atletico also making a way through Kumasera. Incognito, where are these? Okay, so they have a decent compound. They can hold what's left of C9. And Red Canids who have to make a push on this because, in fact, they have vehicles. I might say I don't think they're vehicles. They do. They need to make a big cross against that road because you don't want to find yourself in that ditch. It's very open. You put yourself quite exposed to... Oh yeah, brother.
Oh, this is a horrible position for these guys. Team Liquid can keep this pressure up. Navi are chiming in as well. Tempo Storm, if they decide to look that way. I think Tempo Storm have kind of gone unspoken about. Yes, we know that they don't have many, I guess, contested spots to loot, but they also had a very quiet southern side to this circle. So they came in with really good room to get a good compound, but the trades there, a doozy with a big shot right across that complete dip they're fighting in. This is quite dangerous. If Navi are turning up, they're a team you cannot overlook. And sadly, Sandy FPS, a lot of players look at this guy as someone who's got real firepower. He is pinned in. That is tough. Incognito going to keep that pressure up.
You might be looking at all these back and forth battles. The one thing I'm trying to keep track of is where G2 make an entry point here. They either pull up and unfortunately die, or they pull up on a team that's exposed and doesn't have the information of where they are. In fact, excuse me, I've just seen Tempo Storm now have a read on them, so they'll have to continue moving and traversing this circle edge. I've just seen a knock go down on the side of FaZe Clan. SSG, by the way, have made their way further into Kumasera. I don't believe either Rumblers
how is Chris alive?
know where they are.
Chris just ran that into... Oh my god, Chris, that was so naughty. Tried to get to the shack, but oh dear, getting spun out here, just driving away. He's done for. No, how is he alive? He should be dead any second now. If they get a glimpse of him still, Bitloff, bless their hearts, have been in this situation the entire time, and G2 have gone down. That's...
Spread across 3 teams as well. That's leaving it too late and playing up against the blue, unfortunately. It was a difficult entry point with so many teams down there, and as soon as you get spotted, you're on that hillside, it's bye-bye. Speaking of bye-bye...
Burnt nades.
Oh, that could be beautiful. That could actually be beautiful.
They're pushing this too. Here we go. Waldo has to hold the angle. Microfire's behind him. Godspeed, though, out on an island, can't support the team. Waldo is just kind of banking that he doesn't get dug out of this position, but a small nade, a little bit of a look will do it, and that's another pickup. The Rumblers get eliminated. That's a big loss for them. And actually, FaZe proving point, but look who's turned up. Space Station Gaming have heard this all go down. FaZe will be in that period where they're just trying to recover from that fight, looking for the way into the circle. Space Station Gaming can now kind of leapfrog ahead and try and keep them pinned back here. But don't underestimate FaZe Clan in any means. Fuzzface can always get them out of the pinch.
So the information is there. They now know they have another team knocking at the door. One team, Baha, will get damaged up. Fuzzface, beautiful position for him up on top of the canister. That's the initial knock gun down, at least, but there is a response there. Mexi gets naded to high heaven. And again, they're just going to continue this bombardment, trying to throw them over.
Oh my God,
the oil barrel.
Yeah, 80's going to find one at least, so it's kind of keeping up at this point. You got Fuzzface watching one angle, 80 on the other. Uber can't do anything about this. Look at the amount of nades that Space Station Gaming have. Yeah, that's a sick nade towards 80.
On the ridge.
Perfectly timed, and we do see a push coming up. They need to get in the circle too, but Fuzzface wants to destroy all of this. He wants to do the best he can for his team, and he's going to cost Space Station Gaming their chance of this. If you're going to try and mess with FaZe, he'll take you down with him, but there's the third party turning up. Fuzzface didn't die to SSG. It was Athletico who turned up just at those last seconds.
I actually think J-Sank's just seen where they are. I believe that was a smoke that's gone up, which will cover them for now. K-Mine, job done. Bye-bye C9, 12th position.
We've lost out on huge teams, Rich.
Yeah, I mean, it's game one. It's always going to be like this. It's going to be weird and wonderful, and that's what happens.
We don't have 100 games to play. This isn't PEL.
No, it's certainly not. It comes down to basically a very small caption of what we've seen in the leagues. It's do or die. It's as simple as that. You can't have an excuse where it's, okay, well, we've got a couple more games to do it. Game by game, you're having your chances pulled away from you. You're having points taken away. Athletico might be able to take advantage of the old situation we've seen over by Kumasera, because I believe it's only J-Sank who's left from SSG. So out of that, you've just seen what? 4, 8, 9, 10, 11 players go down in 30 seconds from one fight?
Yeah, Insider basically peeking brazenly here. I'm surprised he didn't get punished, and he does. There we go. Athletico peeking from the ridgeline has the high ground. You do still see one of the SSG players up there, but they're not punishing yet. Waika Kamukau, the captain, the leader, for Incognito, getting, I guess, the pointy end of Gemty's gun. That's not what you want. Nice turn from Santi. Tempo Storm, welcome to this battle. Finally forced to fight, coming out from the southeast side, working their way forward, having to kind of tussle with everyone.
Liquid's picking up points. They're only down to 2 members. Do you have to think, how further could they have gone in this map? Should they have had more alive and not gone for the overextension? I think it was a bad play at the start to send 2 people off when they were kind of central at the... Oh my God, dumpster attack. Hello. Yep, he's been seen now. That's
Look at that nade. He's heard the tick. Oh my God. How do you get out of this one? He looks so panicked. He does go down. The nade would have got him, but it doesn't matter. They put him out of his misery before it happens. Though. I'm glad they checked it. That's really nice work. Now let's look at the circle. Team Liquid's still okay. Navi, to me, are so deadly in this spot. Athletico have a really nice position too, but we've seen games like this from Navi, and it seems to only get more scary as the game goes on. That's a nade. Luke gonna find a couple players, and actually finds the entirety of them in the end. Athletico sweeping through that northwestern side and basically taking everyone with them. They've got a great deal of points going forward. And I don't know how Bitloft is still alive. They've just been in this kind of valley of death for so long.
Everyone else doing work. They've at least made it into the top 10, which is surprising given the fact that they are running out of smokes now and running out of any kind of energy.
They're sending it.
This might not be a bad shout. Go for these ridge lines and take control of it. They
oh God, no, that's a bad idea.
He was so close.
And hell yeah, brother, we're gonna be getting the nades out. It's nade range. This is worrying times for Tempo Storm. Bye-bye, Zampa. Bye-bye, Sharky. This is not what you want from someone like this. It's raining nades. There's only 2 standing, and I say standing, they're crawling, they're desperately clinging to life, and more fire comes in. This is all the nades. Your boy Dre is the only one standing. A good idea, a good theory, but the nades were better.
They'll have the information. There are players still standing there. It's not a complete team wipe. Dre might be able to get the res here on Malukan. I think all the grenades are gone, said but done, because hell yeah, brother have to make a move themselves, so the smokes will be up. But again, the brothers in arms still hold the line. Samty and Gemty have just been peppering players. 3 kills between them. It's more points than what some of the teams have got so far, and say they're only 2 alive. They're doing fantastic work from this building. They're making it They're giving as good as they get. Look at them go.
4 kills ain't bad, but Navi are up on 6. Atletico are up on 5. It's a nice idea for 2, but again, this is the big leagues. Team Liquid can't be fighting for scraps. They're meant to be a tier 1 team, and hell yeah, brother, do go down in the end. They did make it harder work for Tempo Storm on the way, but my eyes again turn towards Navi. They split 2 players off. Pokemordoy and Senya started to extend down the hill, but Atletico do have high ground on them, so there is that danger. But think, when that circle moves away from that northwest side, Rich, Atletico might be a little done for. They don't have that next step here.
It's these scenarios where Navi excels. If you've got plenty of time to move and plenty of breathing room in a circle, they are almost unstoppable. As we look at the map, we can see they're in a 2-1-1. Pokemordoy will give a bit of refuge and respite to Senya. And up top, you see Bestaloch and Aduzi, they hold the line. They keep a tab on Atletico's position, their movements, where they're going to be going. Molodoy is there up on the hillside to direct which way Tempo Storm will go. Maybe he knows where Liquid are. Well, in fact, they do because they got a shot on them earlier on. So Molodoy's position is to basically feed the info to Senya should anyone try and move to his position. Bestaloch and Aduzi, they just watch the back lines and they can rain hell once Atletico makes its move.
30 seconds. Liquid need to make the run. Incognito's remaining player needs to make the run. Tempo Storm can maybe shift a little bit, but they were clinging to that dip for dear life, so it's not like a great deal of rooms in front of them. Navi have basically it all to play for. Atletico need to pick where do they run. Do they try and go straight to circle? Is there room for it? Navi moving up in the vehicles. Keeping vehicles late game can be so paramount for these players and these teams to allow them more options, and maybe a risky run becomes slightly less risky. Now your late game rotations. Now let's see what Atletico go for. The smokes are down. The wall begins to be built. Samty spotting out again. He's keeping tabs on maybe a player they spotted. Yes, it looks like they're well aware that there's Ronon in these buildings. It's going to be Atletico to get the angle on it. Good tag. Zoid making a claim that. And Atletico need to begin the run. But here's the problem. Navi are aware. They're waiting. They've got the knock on 1. Can they get the rest?
Bestaloch, the first frag. Instant bleed out. You're not getting away from this. The spray down through the smoke. Flood comes out, instantly goes down. The rest of them have to keep moving. The blue's on the back, and there is absolutely nowhere to go except into the waiting arms of Navi. They've all regrouped. They have the position. They have the information. This will be a team wipe, surely.
9 kills. Just count them as they go. Samty wants in on this. Going to take down Luke, but it is going to be actually just Atletico falling to this one. Liquid now need to run their own gauntlet, and that is not going to be easy. 9 kills for Navi. What a statement to be made. And we say this tournament, GLL generally allows for CIS teams to do well. And I think we're seeing here, Samty and Gemty on the move, down to just 1 smoke left, and Senya doesn't even care. Gonna find him straight through it. Tempo Storm waiting out the storm, trying to wait for eyes to turn away, but Navi knows better here.
Continue the assault. I don't want to let them... Remember, they've not been in any short-range battles, so to speak, so they will have grenades. You might see Bestaloch just overextend to the center, try and get a curveball, up and over potential. 2 for 1 with a grenade. Again, the smokes just... It tries to hide your position, but it also gives it away because you know you're in there.
What?
Job done. Bye-bye, Liquid. On time, on point. That's a 2 for 1. He knew he wanted it. Again, the smokes... It's only a small position at the end of the day, and this should be a GG in my opinion.
It really should be. Navi are starting to stretch their legs. 13 kills. They thought it'd be FaZe doing all the NA teams. No, it is Navi already kicking things off like absolute beasts. Your boy Dre, good luck, have fun. This one is all over. Nade to hand, maybe you can do some damage, maybe you can take some points with him on the way out, but this is a scary, scary team to be seeing in only game 1. And Bestaloch peaks up. Your boy Trey takes down 1. What? He takes down 2. What a last stand. But it doesn't matter. The CIS gods from Europe doing the dirty on the first one. Double digits. What a play.
It's begun, Lauren. It's absolutely begun. 3 GLL events in a row have been won by the CIS nation. Navi being one of those teams that have actually picked up a win in the past and held the trophy. Oof. That's setting a statement for you.
That's a good game.
That's a fiery start.
You love to see it. And I'm glad to see Navi doing that. The EU region in PEL, watching these guys come in as a new team at the start of it and building into these incredible machines just kind of really put everyone on notice. I can only imagine how far they can go. If that performance keeps up, I'm worried about everyone else.
It feels like
Navi went away and not only picked up 4 insanely great players, but players whose cohesion just bounces off one another. Bestaloch is allowed to go off and do his own thing because someone's always, like a doozy, providing him cover. Pokemolador is always in a position where he can read the lay of the map and feed that back as the IGL to all the players that are around him. And then all of a sudden, there's just no way to get close to them. There's always somebody with an eye line or watching someone's back, and they'll play this 2-1-1 so smart that you just cannot collapse around them. It's almost impossible, and when it does, the individual fragging prowess just comes out. And I mean, I will say this, your boy Dre at the end, it was a good last
He
attempt.
gave it a crack.
If he'd have hit that headshot at the end, move it to a 1 versus 1, that would have been scary times.
It would have been, and honestly, I'm glad to see Tempo Storm well within the top 3 here. Keep it up. Frags were a little bit quiet, but they did have that southern side of the south for some time on their own. They weren't really looking actively for those kills, but they played it well. I think, God, can you imagine what would have happened if Liquid had those players up still? If they had more than just the 2 being able to stay alive, that could have been maybe a different picture.
It was Navi who actually took them down, right, at the start. They were going for that compound position potential to move off the back of it. What could have been, what could have been.
I'm liking it, though. I like this, because G2 got stopped in their tracks. They were a team who played that edge style so perfectly for so long. They got punished so badly. One of the first teams to fall very early for their caliber. So I'm very surprised, but I'm also really happy to see some of the other regions that you wouldn't necessarily look at initially pulling up some good initial placements. That shakes off the rust, the nerves. I'm happy to see it. And I do believe we get to hear from the beast himself, a doozy, waiting down there with Rachel.
Thank you so much, guys. An excellent first match, especially for Navi. A doozy. You laid us with a doozy of a score there. Huge on the kills. I want to know, what does it mean going into the tournament after a huge match like that, letting all the other teams know you're here for business?
We came to this tournament for the win, of course, but we are not like, we are confident, but we are not gonna say like we're gonna win this easily or something like that. We just came to this tournament to show a good game and just play good. That's all.
We're already noticing some trends emerge in the gameplay. Lots of third-partying on these fights there. You guys are able to pick up a ton of kills. Talk to me a little bit about your mentality coming into this match, how you guys are going about picking up these kills.
It was not like we not panic or something like that. We just play, like we was focused on the first place. So when we was in first circle in the good compound, we understand we have a good position for the win. So we just killed everyone who was outside of circle and just kill last guys who was, I don't remember, Miluk was the last one. So yeah. We was only one team who was like a full team, full lineup, so it was easy for us.
And what's communication like in those situations? You sound like you've got a team full of level-headed, easy-talking guys. Who's calling it out there, and who's making the final calls?
Every one of us. Like we have our EGL Senya, but in the final circle, it's like always. Like everyone just communicates. We don't have like one call. We just have information and trying to play with this information.
Well, it's great you can trust your teammates. It's led you to victory already today. We'll see how the remainder of the matches pan out. We're just getting started here at the GLL Grand Slam. Back to you guys.
Wow. Thank you, Rachel and a doozy. And just as they said on the stage, that was a doozy of a game for Navi. Well, let's do an overall recap of what we saw. Guys, concentrate. Let's do an overall recap of what took place in game 1, because it wasn't exactly Navi leading the charge from the start. We saw G2 get off to a very good start.
Yeah, I mean, they got off to a good start. They set a nice little, like, trap, I think, that cost Ghost everything. But again, Ghost couldn't have expected them to be there. They were spread out through kind of a weird little defilade area, and Chris just dominated when they tried to stop. Credit to Balak for trying to save his partner. You got to make those risks. You got to take those risks, but Chris was just too strong. Yeah,
I mean, G2, they had so many angles on Ghost as well, so it was kind of impossible for Ghost to get out of there. And sadly, they didn't get any kill from that either, so it's not the greatest of a start, but not the worst. It's just the first game.
I think they adjusted well. I think Liquid, this was their circle. They should have done pretty well. That shift away on the third one was really rough for them to adapt to. We saw them struggle on the bike when they got picked off, and that was sort of the start of the Navi snowball. These guys, once they taste blood, they are like sharks. They would not let go. They chased down every single person that showed themselves. You saw they found James in that warehouse, and they could have just let him sort of stay there and sort of surrounded and waited. They're like, no, we're going to go in there, we're going to clear him out systematically. That is the Navi way. Violence and aggression that results in big numbers.
Yeah, Navi used the nade breaching very effectively onto James. They found him and they wanted to push the pace, Patrick.
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually quite surprised over how good the Navi played out this game. Because we saw them in the NFPL. They didn't play good as well. The last 2 weeks was kind of terrible for them. So coming in back here, bouncing out, and getting the first win with 14 kills, that's huge for them.
14 kills, that's a crazy start to the tournament. And talking about the other engagements they had, it was very impressive how they dealt with Atletico at the end when Atletico were coming down the mountain, there were smokes, and Navi just smelt blood in the water and they went for it, Steve.
Navi is smart. They started at crater top. It was a great strategic position. They saw a chance to pick up kills. They rotated. In fact, Atletico, I think, came in behind them. And Atletico is an example of sort of, in that situation, they don't want to be where they were. They were in a spot that Navi had recently vacated.
Yeah.
There weren't a lot of exit strategies. And Navi knew, hey, they came in behind us. They don't have a lot of options. Let's just leave one person watching the exit and take out the whole team. And that's what they did. Systematically, one by one, smash team after team.
And it was also so great to see right after that as well, when we saw Best Laws just running out by himself, and we were thinking, what is he doing? But he was covered by his teammates. He threw that nade, and bye-bye Liquid.
Yeah.
Now we are ready to head over to Toby, our local PUBG weatherman, to do some extra post-game analysis.
Thank you so much, Paula. Welcome to the GLL Breakdown. I'm Toby, and this was one hell of a game. 14 kills for Navi. And let's just go right back to the beginning of it. Decent playing. And when you see the first circle pop as well, one team that is not going to be complaining whatsoever are the guys on the bottom, exactly, Navi. They're already sitting down there. The circle is going to go right down on top of them. They will get a 1 minute long slide run, plus they'll get a decent pick in which compound they'll go for. Because if we draw a line kind of through the middle here, we'll kind of draw it over the area of Chumacera, there's really not a whole lot of compounds on the southern side. They know there are teams up north, they know there are teams around there, so if they want to do anything down here, they need to make a move on the southern side really, really, really early on, which they do. They go in, they take themselves a good spot early, up around where Best of Luck is right now, and if we fast forward a little bit, because this circle not only is good for Navi, but on the contrast becomes pretty darn hard to play for other teams. Normally, when we see these big shifts, you see teams that on the northern sides, they want to push around the sides. They want to go around the other sides. What we have here, though, exactly on the edge, actually, Los Leones. Boom. That's going to be a hard one you can't rotate through. Don't want to go through Montenuevo either. All of a sudden, you're left with very limited opportunities for rotations against teams you might not have a whole lot of experience playing against. When do they rotate? How do they rotate? Becomes very, very difficult to deal with. If we fast forward a little bit here, you can see with the second circle popping, we go center. No one's really going to be complaining about that until later on. The only thing is here, if we see the center point, which we know teams likes to go for, there is not a whole lot to play from. I mean, you could argue that the only teams that really get to stay center in this circle are Liquid and Incognito, with a little bit of Tempo Storm on the southern side. So everyone else, if we look at the area that it pushes to afterwards, fast and forward just a little bit here, new circle is going to pop in just a moment. That is where things start going crazy. Boom, it shifts down south. All of a sudden, what we had of compounds up on the northern side becomes a whole area. I think we counted 7 compounds and Chumacera to be shared between 61 players. Everyone down here on the southern side has a hell of a hard time getting anything going. And you can see all the guys up north, well, they ain't gonna have an easy time either, because they have to maneuver around and find somewhere. But even though it might not be easy to see through the terrain here, this is curvy. I mean, you saw it in the game. There's a hell of a lot of terrain difference through the valleys and up to the hilltops. So it's not just easy pickings going around. And the teams that do go around on the eastern side, well, with the circle to shift right after this one, that only makes it that much harder, because we are going straight back up north. This is where we saw the guys down south and G2 trying to hold off Ghost. Worked out for them. When we go up top at the end of things, it just became a cluster. All of a sudden now Chumacera, that's the place you want to go away from. The only place you do not want to find yourself stuck is going to be Chimacera. Shifts away from that as well. So all the guys that were trying to find those edges, get into the circle somewhere where they can say, let's just find some quiet. None of them found it. Became chaos all the way through. Unfortunately for Navi, having some good rotations, being able to pick up a lot of kills from this position. Well, I mean, they got themselves a 14-kill win at that, and I'm sure they're going to be complaining about that to start the game off. That was it for game number 1, guys, and, well, Paolo, right back to you.
Toby, that was awesome. Great segment. Love to see that with the annotations that he's doing, and it really helps reveal exactly what was going on over the course of the match.
I mean, I think it's worth noting when you talk about where we got to that 4th and 5th circle and he's sort of pushing on the shift, it was a very tough climb. It was an uphill position. One of the hardest parts of Miramar is rotating. Vehicles don't travel particularly well there. So if you had the spot, you could get easy kills on teams trying to push up. The 4 teams who did not have to move on that last shift were Navi, Tempo Storm, Bitloft, and Liquid. And those are the top 4 teams. So they were able to accept the fact that sometimes you get blessed by the gods of PUBG, and then execute and get points when you can do that.
Yeah, I mean, even if you get blessed, let's say like Liquid, they got a circle a few times. You had Samty and Jempty left there alone. They were shooting at everybody. They didn't want anybody to come close to them. And we saw that they didn't have too much of ammunition, too much of meds, but they knew this was the only chance for him to grab some points for the team.
You got to act like a porcupine, right? Underneath all of those quills is a soft belly and a delicious meal, or so I'm told. That said, you've got to show the quills and say, don't come in here, don't come in here. And I think that Team Liquid did a good job of doing that, turtling up and getting themselves a good 4th place position.
Yeah, remind me never to eat at Steve's house. I would prefer not to be served a porcupine or hedgehog.
Hey man, don't write off the rodents.
But swiftly moving on, let's talk a bit about Liquid because of the fact that it was James and Ibiza that got knocked relatively early on, and then it was the 2 brothers that had to fight it out to get into a decent position. And even though they didn't get the top spot and it was just 2 of them, they did a pretty good job, Steve.
I'm gonna be honest. So as a dad, like, it's one of the dreams is like you want to see your boys. I got 2 boys, right? And like I want to see them play together and do sports together, and to see the twin brothers holding strong, getting kills, putting in work. I know they're excited about that. Playing together means a lot to them. I hope their family's watching and also saying like, those are my boys, because they do work so well as a 1-2 punch. But then again, they've been that since the day they were born.
I mean, that's the thing, right? They used to play together, then it really didn't work out for them. They couldn't come agreement to what to do all the time, so they split up. Samty went to NA to play over there, then they came back. They joined team now, and actually they've been working stuff out with their coach, 17, and right now they're doing really good together, honestly.
Absolutely.
All right, we're going to take a look at the knockdown leaders in about 1 minute, so we can have any finishing points that we'd like to touch upon before we get into that, Steve?
I mean, I think we said we needed Liquid to have a good first game. We wanted to see North America do well out of the gate. I did a good amount of trash talking to everybody about that. I was very disappointed that only 1 North American team made it into the top. In fact, the other 4 were eliminated before 10th place. So that's going to hopefully kick some tires and light some fires on those boys and say, get up and play. But the team that you don't want, if you're not North America, to have a good first game is Tempo Storm. They come in 2nd place. So that's good for them. That's good for the region.
Well, they only had 1 kill, and the thing is that this is only the first game we had going on here. There's so many more games that will be going, and I feel like the first day here, we're going to see a lot of teams trying new stuff. They don't really know what's going on with the other teams. And then they will do some VOD reviews after today. They'll come in tomorrow. They'll be 10 times more prepared than they are right now.
The reality is this was Navi's area on the map. They loot on that far corner. If the circle goes anywhere else, they run into a lot of challenges in terms of how do we rotate going over the mountain. At this point, they could have played that entire game on foot if they wanted to because of the way the circles worked out. So a blazing first game for Navi. Take nothing away from them in that context. But if the next circle goes military, the question is, can Navi continue that momentum when circles do not favor them?
Yeah, Patrick, which teams do you think played the best with regards to not having the circle favoring them?
Well, for not having the circle, it's... That's a really hard one, I'd say. A lot of the teams had to adapt a lot, and it came down to a lot of the teams actually did really good, I'd say. You had a team, a lot of the teams that had the circle on them, they didn't do too good. They lost people early in the rotation because they weren't really prepared to what was going to go on. A lot of the teams that we're talking about that was edge teams, they were actually playing center in this game, and that made everything just a big cluster for them.
Okay, my shout-outs go to Atletico and hell yeah,
I was going to say Atletico and HYB at one point. They had a really good engagement with the nades, was it? On Tempo.
Listen, red zones are turned off and competitive. Someone tell that to HYB because they literally created a red zone on Tempo Storm, and Tempo only got second place in that match because Liquid rescued them. HYB had them dead to rights, and Liquid, the twins, hit some perfect shots. HYB goes out, but I think that showed me that not only are they here to play, they're not scared of top teams. They came out there and said, hey, Tempo's there, let's take them on, and they did it. And I think Atletico, same idea. They played as well as they could have, and they had an unlucky transition that cost them everything. But both of those teams had really good first games, which they needed.
Yeah, big credit to Atletico. What were the keys to them getting to the position that they did in this match? I mean, it all came tumbling down when they were quite literally going down the mountain into Navi. But what did you see from them that impressed you?
I feel like it was that they were confident enough to actually take the fights. It didn't matter what team they were up against. They always wanted to take the fights. They wanted to be confident. They came in, and they literally didn't care who it was over there. They were like, we need to clear this way to continue into the circle, and that's what we're going to be doing.
Yeah, absolutely. They played like they weren't intimidated by anybody. Everybody, let's take a look at our knockdown leaderboard. All right. Knockdown leaders. 5 total knockdowns for Luke from Atletico, and then 4 spread across the other 4 players. Crush from HYB, Ibiza from Team Liquid, Pome from Singularity, and Chris. I mean, he pretty much got those 4 knockdowns in the first maybe 10 minutes or something, 15 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, that's the Chris way, right? Like, you walk into his house and he smashes you in the face. This guy puts up good numbers, but for me...
Hey, at least he doesn't feed you a porcupine, right?
Hey, you know what? Like I said, I'm not going to tell you to try it. Go visit the country for a while. But 2 of the leaders came from HYB and Atletico. Again, OCE had a ton of pressure coming in here. Everyone's saying their region's not as strong. Their numbers are inflated. And they come out. Atletico put up 6 kills in that game. So this was big. This was very big for them.
I mean, you also had Singularity up there as well, even though they only got themselves 1 kill, but that shows them they got 4 knocks on 1 guy, that they are able to actually do a lot of damage, and you shouldn't underestimate them at all.
Never.
All right, everybody. Unfortunately, we won't be able to get up the overall scoreboards and leaderboards for that after that first match, but they will be ready very soon. So I think right now we are prepared to go to a break. Thank you for joining us. A big shout out to our audience that have come on day 1 here Friday. Hope you guys are having fun. Do not go anywhere. We will be back in about, I think it's 5 minutes.